Do you think retiring just 7 years with nothing in your bank account is impossible? Well, I want you to think again. I went from $0 and actually negative dollars to financial freedom, and today I'm going to show you exactly how you can do the same thing. If you're new to this channel, my name is Brian Lessinger, and with no inheritance and no lottery winnings, I was able to do this not just once, but twice. So if you're ready to break free from the paycheck to paycheck cycle and design a future where work is optional, then stick with me. This is the roadmap to your early retirement starting right now. The first step in making this whole process happen is always about shifting what you believe between your ears. You've got to get your mindset right. What I've always been trying to get to is what I call financial freedom. And to get there, what we have to decide is, what is the game that we're playing? What amount of net worth? What amount of cash flow? What are we trying to generate in order to live the life that we want to live? So there's always a couple of questions I always want to ask people, and this is part of trying to figure out what that, to me, financial freedom number is. What is your definition of wealthy? What my definition of wealthy is this: how much money do you need to make in order to live the life and the lifestyle you want to live without having a job? The reason why I like that definition of trying to get to financial freedom, or figuring out what your definition is, because then we're going to know what game we're playing. So let me give you an example. I have two moms. I have my mom and I have my stepmom. And when I talk to them, they are both what I call my definition of wealthy. And one makes dramatically more passive income and retirement income every month than the other. And you know what? Neither one of them cares. My mom does not want to live my stepmom's life, and my stepmom sure doesn't want to live my mom's life. Two totally different lives, two different numbers, two different incomes over the years, and they were able to get where they wanted to go. Why do I go back to hating the word retirement? Well, I'm one of those people, I like working, and I don't want to necessarily retire, but it's a great option to feel like working becomes optional. But the beginning of my career was I had to work with anybody, take any client, whether they were a good client, a bad client, a high price, a low price. I just had to work with people because I needed the money, and I worked way too many hours. And now in my career, with the help of my team and the people that I work with, the rule always is we only want to work with nice people. We want to work with our friends, our family, our past clients, and we're able to not have to work with everybody because I don't need every single person to buy or sell a house, because I don't need that income. The other cool thing about it is I don't have to work. There's times where I will have a week where I work 40, 50, 60 hours, and there'll be other times where I don't work hardly at all that week. And with real estate, because our business comes in cycles, it allows me that flexibility to do what we need to do. You have to take full responsibility for your financial future. And if you start to think of money like a tool, the sooner you can master it, the sooner you can get your financial literacy on board, the sooner you can file and get these accounts that we're going to talk about set up today, so that you can start to work on your financial freedom number. You'll need more money than you think. Ideally, you're going to be able to start younger than you think. And ideally, you're going to be able to invest more aggressively while you're saving and investing. And you might be surprised how quickly you can get there. Now, when I did this the first time, and then the economy got me in 07, 08, 09, and I went broke, and I was negative hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. The second time around, it really only took me 7 years to get to where I needed to be, where I literally could have retired and I could have lived on an income that was lower than what I want, but I was in a position that I could do what I needed to do. Is it possible to do in 7 years? Not for everybody, but I did it. I know other people can do it. It might take you longer, but 7 years is totally doable. Step number 2 is, now we've got to figure out a way to start from a stable base. About 65% of Americans across all age groups live paycheck to paycheck. Younger people, this number would be higher. And of course, that figure keeps going up and up and up due to things like inflation, stagnant wages. So a similar wage today is not worth what it was in the past. People getting higher debt levels. And for younger people, millennials, Gen Zs, you guys are even more vulnerable to financial struggles, because things like student loans, and even my kids who make much higher wages than I did in my 20s, but if you compare their living costs and higher housing costs, it just made things way more difficult for them to get their life going and get life started. A lot of their friends are living paycheck to paycheck. Lucky for me, my kids are doing better than that, but we're able to coach them, guide them, and get things going in the right direction. The first thing we absolutely have to do is we got to get your debts under control. We got to know the difference between a good debt and a bad debt, and we got to get all your consumer debt gone. Let me give you a quick little story. I was meeting with a gentleman in the last week or so. We had 3 debts. They were between 14 and 18% interest that was going out, and the payments, if you made the minimums, were like $850 a month, and it was killing his budget. He figured out every month the situation was actually getting worse, because if you make minimum payments, 1, it's going to take you forever to pay off your debt, and 2, every month he was actually going into more and more and more debt. First things we had to do is we had to figure out how to slash expenses and start trying to get these debts paid off ruthlessly. The key for him in this situation was, it might take you 3, 5, 7 years to get going in the right direction, but we've got to do this. And some of the suggestions would have been downsizing your life, trying to find lower rents. Is it meal prepping so that you never eat out again until you get your debts gone? You might have to start buying things secondhand. He might have to move cities and go to another area for lower cost expenses, because if we start to show him how he can pay his debts more each month, we had to get that plan going so that we can then start to show him over time, when you start earning the interest rather than paying out the interest, how that was going to be such a huge thing for him. If you have a side hustle, great. If you don't and you start making extra money and now we're debt free, we can start investing it more wisely. And whether that's in the stock market on index funds and ETFs, whether that's buying a REIT, which is a way to get invested in real estate without actually having to physically buy property. There's lots of ways to start having your money start build up positively for you, but you have to understand is this: every dollar you invest today is working to buy back your freedom tomorrow. So the more you can save and invest and have that money make money, it's allowing you for more freedom down the road. The next step is you have to track and adjust your progress. Early on, you might have to be tracking every 30 days. Over time, you might be doing it quarterly, every 6 months, or once a year. And I don't care if you're doing a budget on a pad of paper or an Excel spreadsheet or using an online app. It doesn't matter to me. To succeed in this, it's not about doing this perfect. There are going to be glitches along the way. There's going to be shit that happens. The only thing standing between you and, I hate the word early retirement, we're going to say financial freedom, is consistent action. So one foot in front of the other, do it over and over and over. Start as soon as possible. Watch it, rewatch it. Let's get a plan in place for you so you can work on your way, hopefully in the next 7 years, but it might take longer to get to your number of financial freedom. If you're someone who's trying to figure out how to get your financial freedom journey started, check out this video we did right here about budgeting and how to get all your consumer debt paid off.